Alright, welcome back to the shop. I'm sorry this video is going to be a little disjointed, I guess would be the word. I had some problems with the mower deck. I broke the belt on it, and the deck was bent. I thought I was going to straighten it out using this Hein Warner pump jack, and luckily 805 Road King had a video on that was helpful in me getting that repaired. But the way the deck is set up, I wasn't able to use it, so I sort of, it's disjointed video because I've got Hein Warner pump jack repair to mower repair and no obvious nexus between the two. Anyway, hopefully if you decide to watch the video, hopefully either you're working on bottle jack or pump jack or a wheel horse. Maybe that'll be helpful. Welcome back to the shop. I burned the belt up on my mower, mowing things I shouldn't be mowing. I was mowing palmettos with it. It's easier than picking it up. So I need to put a new belt on it, but this machine gets a beating all the time, and the deck is crunched in, if you can see that. It needs to be pulled out. That's going to lead to the subject matter for this episode. I found this in the corner of my grandfather's shop on one of my last walks through before we tore it down. And this little hydraulic jack here, I think might be useful in terms of straightening that deck back out again. I'm not sure of that, but I've got to wait a couple days for the belt, so that gives me some time to see if I can clean this up and get this functioning again. And if it doesn't work for the mower deck, I'm sure I'll find some other application for it. So I'm going to start cleaning it up. Well, I've got the top moving components out. However, this hose does not want to move, and I cannot unscrew this. It's sort of ungainly, and it's cast. I've got to be careful about snapping stuff off of here. So I think I might put this through a couple heat cycles with the torch. Just heat it up, let it cool, heat it up, let it cool, and get some penetrating oil in there, and see if that does anything. I imagine with the hydraulic fluid, it's not a corrosion issue. I really don't know, but I'm going to try to get it hot, but I don't know if there's any seals in here or whatnot, so I'm going to have to sort of gamble a little bit. So I've got it warm. I got to be real careful because I can't heat this up and melt the hose. I have a feeling this would be pretty expensive, and I don't want to buy any parts or something that I'm not even sure works. So I bolted the pump down to a piece of plywood and then clamped it down. I screwed it down, a couple tech screws. The tech screws will probably hold it in place, but the clamp will add a little bit of stability to it. And then I clamped that to the forks on the forklift. That should be a pretty solid base for this, and I'm going to try to pound on it and get it off of there. Hopefully it works. It was against my better judgment, but it worked. I was able to get a small pipe wrench on there and a big cheater handle, and I broke it loose. I've got it cleaned up in the parts washer. It usually takes an hour or two. It doesn't flash off, but it will dry pretty quickly in the scheme of things. So I'll let that dry, and we'll come back and we'll wire wheel it up. Well, I've got the gun degreased and largely cleaned up. There's no more grit. One thing I don't know much about hydraulics. The one thing I do know is you do not want to get grit or grime down into the hydraulics because it's immortalized in there. It's a closed system, and then if you have dirt in there, it's just going to keep moving back and forth and keep abrading things. So you want to try to keep it as clean as possible. So what I had done is kept well, you don't have to trust me, but I kept as much grit out of it as I could, and it still needs to be de-rusted and all that stuff. But I think at this juncture, I want to see if it functions. So I'm going to reassemble enough of it to get it working and see if I can actually get it to work. And then I'll know if I should clean it up and paint it and do all that. There's not a lot in the way of moving parts. There's a ball and a spring. I might put parts washer fluid in this for now instead of wasting hydraulic fluid. I'm not sure what I'll do yet. when I was a kid, I was in Boy Scouts and we stayed on the Yorktown for a couple nights. And the ship had this distinct smell. It smelled just like this tool. It is a mix of grease, hydraulic fluid, parts cleaner. It's wonderful. It smells just great. I wish there was some way. It brings back so many memories. It was just a remarkable trip. I put this in the parts washer, filled it with fluid, and it seemed to be ejecting fluid. So I suppose it's working. Now I'm going to put a little bit of transmission fluid or hydraulic fluid, whatever I've got, down into here, and we'll see if that ram starts working. And we'll make a determination on whether I fix the mower or paint this sucker. Alright, I found some training fluid. Alright, well this is not working. I am going to have to dive into this deeper. I'm going to pour the transmission fluid out of here and do some research to figure out what I'm doing wrong, if something went missing. I'm at a loss. It's full of fluid and it doesn't build any pressure no matter what I do. This is a nightmare. So after a while I found out with the help of 805 Road King's video, this is a Hein Warner pump, and I had a second ball that fell out of it and I didn't know where it came from. I think it's number 19 there. Hopefully the video is not upside down. I'm not sure how it's going to shake out when I edit it. But that second ball was below the first ball, so hopefully that fixes this. It works. Alright, I put a beer cap in there. Let's see if that... Yeah, that's working. Now that I've got the hydraulic press fixed, I'm going to, again, to reappoint you that's the deck that's bent in. I'm not sure if I'll be able to use the press or not, but I need to take the deck off. I believe there's one cotter pin and one thumb screw right there next to the fuel filter, or this press button. Ooh, it's a little hard to manhandle that around. See, I got some plastic bags stuck in there. Bearings don't sound too bad, but this is a section I'd like to straighten out. And that is the wrong belt. Now there's no rear to this deck, it just shoots out the back, which is really nice because it doesn't throw rocks at windows and cars and everything beside you. Everything just sort of drifts out the back slowly because there's not a lot of velocity developed. There's no port to eject things from, just this big window. And I don't want to push against the spindles. I can see that they've already worn out. Somebody's tried to weld this together. But I think I've got this old mower blade and I'm going to use that as a mechanism to push against, and I'll get some pry bars, or not pry bars, I'll get some C-clamps and we'll see if we can't pull this thing back together. Forgot to turn the camera on for that. That's an 89-inch belt. That fits on there perfectly. Pro tip, go ahead and grease this thing while you got it off, because getting to this center zerk is a real pain in the butt while it's on the machine. It's impossible without a flex nozzle, and even with the flex nozzle it's a pain. So the deck has to go on from the right side of the machine, otherwise the control height lever hits the deck. This is hard to do one-handed. I'm going to have to put this down. We've got it pulled through. You need to let the deck down, and this bar will drop through this pin here, and then you'll just have to latch this section. Alright, so that bar is locked in here now, and there's one more cotter pin to put in right here. What a nightmare. Oh my gosh. I guess it could have been harder, but up and down. Pain in the butt. And put some schmoo in this tire to keep it from leaking down. Alright, the valve stem was stuck in there, and I lowered the air out and tried to get as much out as I could, but we'll see if the stuff holds. And tire slime.